All right, so we're gonna make some dough. Here's my ingredients. It might seem like a lot, but it's really not. It's just varieties of flour because I like to mix it up. So let's zoom in on the scale and we're gonna see some measurements here. All right, so first we're gonna put our bowl on and then we wanna zero it out. All right, first things first, we're gonna be making a probably 61 to 62% hydration dough. I'm gonna start off with our King Arthur unbleached bread flour. All right, so we want 450 grams of that. You can see that's 450. All right, we'll zero it out again. Next, we're gonna add our pizza flour. I'm using the King Arthur 00 Neapolitan pizza flour. I'm gonna do about 250 of that, which brings our total up to 700 grams. Now I'm running out of high gluten flour, but this is King Arthur artisan bread high gluten flour. And this just has a higher protein content. There's 165. So that brings our grand total up to, what do we got? 250, 450, that's 700 plus 165, that's 865. And then we'll just make that an even 200 with this whole wheat flour, also King Arthur. So there you go. Just adds a little bit of, that just adds a little bit of color. So if we move in closer, you can see the mix we got going. All right, so before I get started mixing or adding anything else, I'll just give this a quick mix with a spoon to incorporate everything. Okay, so to 900 grams of flour, I do 1% of diastatic malt powder. This just helps with browning when it cooks. So 1% is just going to be 9 grams. So it says 8, but I know my scale, if you let it sit a minute, that'll go. And if I add any more, it's going to end up being 10 or 11. And then we want 3% salt. So for 900 grams of flour, we're going to do 27 grams of salt. There you go. And yeast, quite honestly, it doesn't matter how much you use. I'm just using some active dry yeast. I tend to do about 3 grams, but if you did a gram, it would still rise. It'll just take longer. If you do 5 grams, it'll rise. It'll do it faster. But I tend to stick around 3 grams of yeast. And again, we'll give that a mix. Okay, now I add a little honey and a little olive oil, just because I think it helps with browning. So honey will do about 20 grams. It's 19. That's good. Olive oil will do about 10 grams. Or I'll split the difference. I'll make this 11. I'll just get that number up to 30. There we go. Perfect. And now we want to add our water. I just pop it in the microwave for around 45 seconds to warm it up. We're going to do 61% hydration, so that's 549 grams of water. I started doing it first, so we're going to make that 543 because I just added 6. There we go. So that's all set now. We put it in our mixer, and I let it mix on low for about 10 minutes. right, so I think we're going to call it here. Still looks pretty well mixed. Okay, so now we'll transfer the dough to our board. Dough feels pretty nice. And we're just going to portion it out into 3 pieces. I'm not going to weigh it because it doesn't really matter. So 3 roughly equivalent. So this one is clearly smaller. And yeah, that's fine. So now we'll just roll it up. Oh. Two. And lastly, and I'll show you how to do it, you go. So you just pull out, fold in, pull out, fold in. So you see you pull, tuck, push. So now we just get our containers set up. I'll spray them so the dough doesn't stick. And there you have it. Dough making 101. And I'll do a slow cold ferment, so those will go in the fridge and they'll be ready to go. I mean, you could use them as soon as tomorrow, but we're going to save them for Friday. And that's that. Thanks for making dough with me.